It's time for the Film Crickets with Jay Fortier, Chris Martineau, and Melanie Howerton. On this week's episode, our good friend Josh Dolan will be filling in for Chris, and Jay, Melanie, and Josh will be reviewing the 1997 American slasher film, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Does it stand the test of time? Let's find out. Your Film Crickets are on now.
All right, hey friends, and welcome to the Film Crickets. It's a podcast where we talk about movies from 1980 all the way to 1999 and decide beyond a shadow of a doubt whether or not these movies stand the test of time. I am your co-host, Jay Fortier. I'm along with my good friend, Melanie Howerton.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. Chris is absent today, but we have Josh Dolan. Josh, what's up, buddy?
How's it going? Playing Chris again. I feel like I know him more than I've talked to him now at this point, but, hopefully I'm doing a good job.
Yeah, man. It's great to have you. This is cool.
Yeah, it's great to be on. I'm always surprised when you guys ask me to come back on, so I'll do this anytime.
Well, we love you.
And I love you guys.
So we got Josh to watch a horror movie this time.
Yes.
I know, because last time I was like, well, I don't want to make him watch it. He doesn't really like horror, so I'm going to make him watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and then, of course, it was like 3 against 1. Jay, this movie is the worst fucking movie. Like everybody came after me. I was like, sorry. So this time we went a little more.
I don't know if we could call that a horror movie, or if we could call that a movie, but, what can you do?
It was a little more like a campy, cheesy sci-fi, whatever. But so today it's the Kevin Williamson written movie. Did he direct it or no? I think it's just he wrote it, right?
He wrote it, yeah.
It's basically his follow-up to writing Scream, and so I Know What You Did Last Summer. So so this was a big deal because at the time Scream was all the rage, so might as well try to capitalize on the most perfect looking human beings inside of a horror movie. Just put them all in, let's get all these teeny boppers that like everybody loves, and we're gonna put them in there.
Mm-hmm. I have something on that later.
Yeah, so it works. So you know what? I'm pulling up the IMDb. So why don't we while I'm doing that, why don't we ask everybody if I'll go around and ask everybody what this movie means to them, how many times they saw it, when they first saw it over the years. I'm going to start with Josh. I think I know the answer.
I think everyone knows the answer.
Yeah.
So my first time, as you know, I don't do horror unless it's a World War II movie or it's hilarious. I'm not watching it, or if it's a hockey movie, but it's got to be a good one. And so I watched this for the first time a few weeks ago, and it came out in 1997, so I was 6, and this just has the cast is basically just like, who's on top of the world right now, round them all up, put them in this movie. Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Jennifer Love Hewitt. This is just like, if you sat down at a table and you're like, how do we make this as 90s as possible? You make this movie.
Yeah.
So it didn't mean a lot to me growing up because I steered clear from it. But now that you guys are getting me into, different genres of movies, I liked it.
All right. That says a lot.
We'll have to get a really scary one on here and scare the piss out of him one day.
Oh, poor guy. All right. Next, The Exorcist.
Yeah, right. Watch it alone in the dark. You have to do that, or you can't watch it.
So that's great.
I want to watch Jaws floating in the ocean.
Jaws?
You haven't seen Jaws?
No, I've seen it, just not while I'm floating in the ocean exposed.
Oh, yeah, okay, right.
It's like watching a horror film alone in the dark.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so for me, I have seen this movie 1,000 times. I don't ever remember the first time I've ever watched it. I have the whole series of all of them. I really didn't need to watch it for this because I've seen it so many times. But we were supposed to do this. I don't remember when. I think you said in February. So I watched it then, and I haven't watched it again since then because I watched it for it already. And then I got a little bit of trivia on it too. So, but it was, I would say, kind of high rotation for me.
Cool. I watched it in the theater for the first time, and I'll tell you a story in a minute. And then I watched it a few times over the years, and watched it again recently. But like, I wouldn't say it was like high rotation, but I've seen it, a decent amount of times. So we saw it in the theater. And it was at a local theater in town that's no longer there, but it was like the old style theater that it was a little more not quite stadium, So like everything's stadium seating now, so it doesn't matter if a tall person sits in front of you. They're not going to be like most likely blocking your view. In this type of theater, if somebody tall was in front of you, you'd be like, maybe let's just move.
Yeah, I hated that because I'm short. It would happen to me all the time. I'm like, oh God, you sit down and all of a sudden somebody tall sits somebody, you're like, really? Right at the last second? Come on.
or like Marge Simpson with her hair, like sticking
You thought you were safe, and like right as the movie's about to start, some tall person sits in front of you, you're like, come on. Or some kid gets in the back of you and starts kicking your seat. That's another thing I can't stand.
That happens during stadium seating too. We saw it in the theater, and it was the old style theater that had, like I said, non-stadium seating. And it had cup holders, but they were doing this big promotion where Pepsi gave you this gigantic thing. So anybody who's not watching us visually, it must be like 6 inches wide. So there's no way it's fitting into this cup holder. Now it had a handle. It was almost like a pitcher.
Yeah.
This giant thing. It had a really tight plastic cover, and the straw, and so it's sitting on the armrest between us. We're sort of like holding on to it. And they're driving along, the kids are driving along. They hit the guy walking down the street. They end up, because they're drinking, they get distracted. Boom,
They
hit the guy. They freak out because their future is going to be ruined if they call the police. So they decide to dump the body. So as they bring it to the edge of the dock. The guy reaches up and wakes up and grabs a hold of Sarah Michelle Gellar. When the guy opened his eyes and the hand came up, Wendy, who I was dating at the time, she's now my wife, she goes, "Wah!" hits the soda. Now, it was like in slow motion where it went up and turned upside down, landed on my lap. Now, luckily, this thing was made well because the only liquid came out of where the straw was. And I was able to save it. I only had just a little bit. Can you imagine if that was a regular, soda at the theater? What that would have done? I would have been let's get up. We're leaving.
Yeah.
I'm going to have soda all over. I was so lucky. So let me take a quick look at the IMDb breakdown. Yeah. Well, let's go while we still have it.
Yeah.
So as I Know What You Did Last Summer, it's the year 1997, and it is 1 hour and 41 minutes, rated R, and it's basically, it stars Jennifer Love Hewitt, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Anne Heche, Ryan Phillippe, Freddie Prinze Jr., and we have Bridget Wilson Sampras, and Johnny Galecki, and also let's also add Muse Watson, who played Benjamin Willis. So he was the killer, right? Benjamin Willis?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, the one sentence review. Oh, it's also, by the way, it's directed by Jim Gillespie, and his writers Kevin Williamson and Lois Duncan. So actually, she had the novel, and so. Yeah, and here's the one sentence breakdown. It's 4 young friends bound by a tragic accident are reunited when they find themselves being stalked by a hook-wielding maniac in their small seaside town. So that's not bad. It's actually a pretty good one-sentence synopsis that kind of captures what we were, what the movie's all about. Now, they say Seaside Town. Now, we looked it up earlier, and it was recorded in the area of, it was North Carolina. That looks like it's a freezing area. Like, I expected Pacific Northwest. They didn't look very warm. Like it was like the warmest area like on the planet.
All right, so the story begins. It's 4th of July, 1996. There's 4 high school seniors. Julie, who's Jennifer Love Hewitt. And then we've got her boyfriend, Ray, who's Freddie Prinze Jr., Julie's best friend, Helen, who's Sarah Michelle Gellar, and her boyfriend, Barry, who's Ryan Phillippe.
What happens is she's in a pageant. I say she. Sarah Michelle Gellar's character is in a pageant where she's becoming like the Miss Croaker. Whatever. I think that's the town.
Whatever the town is.
Croaker.
Yeah, I can't. It doesn't sound familiar, but it could be.
Also doesn't sound tempting to go live there. I'm going to go move to Croaker.
I know, right?
No, but like she wins the thing. Like she wins the local beauty pageant. She's expecting to go move to New York and be an actress. They're celebrating because they're graduating. So they decide to take the car down to the beach, which they end up like chilling around a campfire, talking about like urban legends about, people have always heard these stories about like, the person was hung from a tree while the two are making out in the car, and they're hearing scrape, 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 and like, it's like, no, it's drip, drip, drip. They're they're all like having different versions of it. So they're on the beach and they separate for a while. Like the two couples go their own ways, and the lead character, Jennifer Love Hewitt, has sex. And it's kind of no, you know what I mean. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, wonder if she's going to make it. They always say, if you have sex, you're going to die.
You die. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But she does. They decide to, take off. And by the way, Ryan Phillippe's character is drunk beyond belief. And at the time, I think he was cornering the market on douchey teenager because he was in Cruel Intentions.
Yeah.
With Sarah Michelle Gellar. But it's like it's like, did he play another role at the time? Like, like it was like dirtbag, like he was like such an ass.
Yeah, he thinks he's great. He's like, he's super popular, everything. He's got money, he just thinks he's great. He's got the prettiest girl, so yeah, he just thinks he's all that.
Right. So he was like, nobody's driving my fucking car but me.
Yeah.
And, but obviously he's way beyond drunk. And so Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character, Ray, decides to take the wheel, and they're driving down the street. And it's a curvy road, and you got Ryan Phillippe, who sticks his body out, like of the moonroof. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got a bottle of like whiskey or whatever, and he drops it in Freddie Prinze's lap. So he turns, he's not looking, and then he ends up hitting the pedestrian, who ends up, that's what we talked about earlier. That they were like, our future. And now, by the way, now let's get to this question here. You got 4 kids. They're freaking out about the fact that they just hit somebody. It was an accident. Yeah. It was an innocent accident in a way, because it's not like Freddie Prinze dropped a bottle on his own lap. His drunk friend did.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, no. They're like, oh, we're not going to be able to go to college. Not going to be able to. And it's like, wow. These kids are just shallow. Like, all of them. Except for Jennifer Love Hewitt, she's at least, like, got the only brain, or at least trying to. She's trying to say, let's do the right thing here.
And to me, it was just stupid anyway, because there is one that's sober. So they were like, oh, they'll never believe that you were driving because it's my car. Whatever I honestly don't think a cop would question that. If he's like, I'm the one who is driving, you can go ahead and do like I'm the sober driver. You go ahead and do like a test on me. I can show you that I haven't been drinking. I would have called the cops anyway, but we wouldn't have a movie, so we have to keep going.
So they decide to shove the body in the the ocean. They're like, oh, take out to sea. And she's flipping out. She's really the one who really doesn't want to do it. Also, her boyfriend also kind of backs out at the last second. But the thing is, you got Ryan Phillippe who grabs her and like throws her up against like the car or whatever, and is practically strangling her, saying, "You tell anybody about this," you know, like, and it's like Freddie Prinze isn't stopping him.
He doesn't do anything.
You know, like and so let's say they all decide that they're going to agree to not do anything for, you know, forever, and say anything. Okay, if that were me, I would be, so like at least it showed up on Jennifer Love Hewitt's character. She was actually like starting to fail at school. You would see a hole burning in my shirt from the nerves that my stomach would be giving out every day, just like thinking about like what I just did. You know what I mean? Like trying to live. Could you ever?
Well, not to mention that like when they pour him into the water, that they actually realize that he is still alive. He's struggling, and he goes to grab the crown and all this other stuff. It's like, okay, now you know that he really is alive. So get him out of the freaking water, you idiots. But they don't. They let him in there to drown. So now they really are guilty of something when it was an accident before, which they should have called the police anyway. But now they are guilty of leaving somebody in the water who's injured from a car accident, who might be drowning in the water. And they're like, no, get off of me. Let me get out of the water. I mean, but the thing is, too, is like once you know the movie and you've seen the entire thing, and who cares if there's a spoiler? The guy's an ass and deserves it anyway. So he's all high and mighty and wants revenge against these kids. I mean, come on. He just tried to do the same thing to someone else. He did do something. He just killed somebody else 2 seconds ago. And after he killed somebody, he accidentally got hit by a car. So, oh well. You know what I mean? Like, the whole movie, he's like, and even in like part 2, he's so mad. They're bent on revenge for doing this to this guy. What did you just do? You just killed somebody 2 seconds ago. But, you know, whatever.
Right, but he's obviously unhinged. You know, and Ryan Phillippe jumped in to get the crown, and they start fighting under the water. And by the way, it's in the dark. Yet there's this magical light that's like behind him that
there's always a light.
Nowhere, right? You know what I mean? Like it's if you jump in after midnight in the ocean, you can't see. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say most likely you can't see. And he finds him, fights him under the water for the crown, and he notices the guy's eyes open under the water, gets the crown away from him, and the guy just stands there under the water sulking like
and because that's the most important thing too, to grab the crown. He's got to get the crown. Just leave it there.
no, you know why? Because they would trace it to her.
Oh yeah, okay, duh.
Right, it's like, no, we can't have evidence that we just dumped a body.
So you're right. There's always a light under there. It would be pitch black. You wouldn't see anything. It's in the pitch black night. The car's way up on the hill. You can't see into the water. But
now, obviously, they want us to see him. But
yeah.
I'm saying the weird part is he could see the villain, under the ground. It's like under the water. So, anyways, a year goes by. Pretty much after that. Oh, and by the way, as they were thinking about dumping the body, Johnny Galecki drives by, who's like kind of like playing like a geek, but not as much of a nerd as he is on The Big Bang Theory. In case anybody knows who Johnny Galecki is, he's Leonard from Big Bang Theory. He's still going to be from
Christmas Vacation to me.
That's right. Yeah, Rusty. He played Rusty on Christmas Vacation. No, but like he drives by. He's secretly pining for not even secretly. I don't think pining for Jennifer Love Hewitt. He really wants to be with her. Because you can tell by the way he's like offering her a drink, and then Ryan Phillippe comes along and just takes it and drinks it anyway. And no, but like he drives by as they're thinking about dumping the body, and they're pretending that Ryan Phillippe's puking, and so they're thinking a year later, you know, when they all get back together, Jennifer Love Hewitt gets a note that says, "I know what you did last summer." When she ends up coming home. She had a tough time at school, but then she wants to go and show the note to Sarah Michelle Gellar and the others. But they get together and they think maybe it's this guy Max, who's played by Johnny Galecki.
Also, sorry, he always reminds me of Roseanne as well.
What's that?
Roseanne.
Oh, right. He was on Roseanne. Yeah.
Yeah.
He played Darlene's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all panicked that their secret got out somewhere, trying to figure out who knows.
You can see it's weighing on them, though. At least they're not like so inhuman.
Except for Ryan Phillippe, he could give a shit.
Though, I mean, he
even tells him, "You guys look like shit." It's like,
well,
he doesn't even care.
I think it does. He's pretending it doesn't. And the reason I'm saying that, do you remember how excited and fun he was on the balcony when he was dating Sarah Michelle Gellar and they were like oohing and ahhing?
Yeah, he's sweet. Yeah.
Like
he becomes sweeter later on too. Yeah.
I mean, he was nice, sorta. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, he wasn't very nice to Johnny Galecki or anything, but like, so he was obviously that jock guy.
Yeah.
But he was still a fun-loving type of guy that like was having some fun.
Yeah.
And now he's just pissed. What are you two doing here? Like,
you look like shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So
always a nice thing to say to girls. It's like,
I like, and then he goes and says, "Oh, I want to talk to you for a second," and then just instantly, just threatens him with a hook that they're picking up ice with, like big blocks of ice, right? But he threatens Johnny Galecki with this giant hook. I mean, you went from 0 to 100 saying, "Oh, this got to be him," instead of asking, "What'd you see that night?" Try to maybe, get around to it. No, I'm just going to instantly assume it's you and threaten your life.
And obviously, the killer is actually following them around and watching everything, because why would he grab that hook and use it? You know what I mean? Like, now he's going to be the guy in the slicker with the hook as the hand. I think that's kind of what gave him the idea, honestly, besides listening to their stories on the beach, because I think he was around at that time too. But I think just the way he grabbed the hook kind of gave the killer, oh yeah, let me grab that, because that's how Max dies, is with that, isn't it? With the hook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one that really didn't deserve anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at least the other four had something to do with the killer being dumped in the water. Mm-hmm. All he did was drive by.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so Josh, what did you think about all that so far?
Like, I'm not that much of a horror movie person, but when I was watching it, I didn't see it as I didn't really see it as like a horror movie that I was like going to be terrified of.
Yeah.
And I saw it more of like a kind of like a original version of like Ozark, or like somebody like not Ozark, that's a stupid comparison. Or maybe like Outer Banks or something.
Yeah.
Where it's like they're getting into this trouble, but they're not bad people, and they're like, I don't know. It just seems like a long, drawn out way to cover up. Yeah. And, that it could happen to any of us. Somebody throws a whiskey bottle in your lap, and then all of a sudden you hit this guy, and then, you don't want the cops to find out. What do? We start panicking. It was. I thought it was a very good movie. I was entertained by it. There were those jumpy parts. I think it was probably a little more jumpy in the theater, like you were talking about, Jay. I didn't get any Coke spilled on me, but
Pepsi. You know how they do it at the restaurant? You're like, "I'll have a Coke."
Oh, Pepsi. Oh,
yeah.
Is Pepsi all right?
Yeah.
But I thought I really liked the movie up. Like everything that we've talked about, I don't know if you have this in your notes, Melanie, or not, but I thought some of the behind the scenes stories were interesting about this the movie,
I got a lot,
especially with Freddie Prinze.
Yes, which one with Freddie Prinze?
About the one where he almost died.
Okay, tell me that.
Where he almost died on the set because the director of the first one didn't really like him, and he wasn't his first choice, and he kept trying to sabotage Freddie Prinze Jr. Through the whole thing, like with every single take being like, "You look stupid in that take, like don't have your mouth open," or he was just making life miserable for Freddie Prinze. And he actually ended up making Freddie Prinze do a stunt that he wasn't cleared to do, and the stunt coordinator didn't clear the stunt. The director was just trying to make Freddie Prinze look bad, and it was with the boat he was in going off like a ramp or something. And when they did the stunt, Freddie Prinze flew out of it because it wasn't cleared for the stunt, and the boat motor almost chopped his head off.
Oh my God.
Because he went under the boat, and the boat went over his head. And so it went that far to the point where it was like the director hated him so much that he was like trying to get him injured in doing stunts. And the stunt guy wasn't even on set that day. They had sent him home. And I was like, this is a whole nother movie.
That's horrible. I know I did. I know I might have some of it in there in the trivia, but I know that like he worked so hard to try to get in there. I know. And like no matter what he did, they didn't want him in there. And he had to, like, they told him he had to work out more. He had to go do this. Like, it was just, like, a billion things. And then eventually I know he was, like, just, like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. And then, like, and he ended up getting the part or something. But I know they even made him work out for the movie to get more buff and stuff. So I know he did have a hard time getting in the movie. I just didn't know that they did that to him while he was in the movie.
Yeah, they were trying to kill him.
Well,
that's not good.
The second movie, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, it was directed by Danny Cannon. So at least it's a matter of, like, not like, how the hell did they get together for part 2 if the director hated them? So at least it was a different director. Yeah,
different director. And Freddie Prinze liked the second one much better because, number one, the director wasn't trying to kill him,
that would be number 1.
But he was just
That'd be pretty bad.
They were working together and not against each other.
Yeah. I like that one too. I have all of them.
Yeah, the second one.
I will always know what you did last summer.
I never saw that one.
And it was a series too. Yeah, it's like.
I think there's a whole new movie right there. I Know What You Did on the set of I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
Right.
They could keep going and going.
No, but you could make a movie on that, especially like
Yeah.
The director hating you. I mean, come on, really.
Yeah, that's
Just
bad.
because that's not your first choice, you don't try to have him killed.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of trivia on this, and we do want to get to that. So the story pretty much goes that they're going to different lengths to try to figure out who is this person trying to mess with them. They eventually start to is the first person that sees the guy in the slicker, is it Ryan Phillippe?
I can't remember. I just know that like Juliet Home is doing some research, and she finds out who the guy is that that she thinks that they hit. Mm-hmm. And then she ends up going to Missy's house, which is this kid's sister, who ends up being Anne Heche. And my God, she was creepy as shit.
Yeah.
My God, she
belonged
looks like
in
she
Texas
belongs
Chainsaw
in,
Massacre.
I was just saying that. I said she looks like she belongs, and you literally freaking just finished my sentence. 100% looks like she belongs in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. 100%. She got the little apron on with the blood all over, and and the second time she comes, she's like, I don't know what she's doing with killing a turkey. I don't know what the hell she's doing out there, but like, she does definitely, and the way she acts, she just looks so creepy. Like, does she offer them a drink or something? I wouldn't take anything from her. I would think that it'd be poison, and the next thing you know, you're going to be hanging off a hook somewhere in a meat locker in the back room. I mean,
the house felt like it too. The house felt like it was from there.
She was so creepy. Yeah. So anyway, so they go there, and then she tells them that, her brother committed suicide, and it was very hard for the family, and that, some guy came around and his name was Billy Blue, and that, that he was kind of sweet on me for a little bit. And, I think he kind of felt sad just to be around me and all that. So they freak out and they leave, all weirdly. I mean, they could have acted a little bit better about not being so freaked out about things. But anyway, they leave, and then...
Ryan Phillippe's character ends up getting attacked, like, when he comes out of... he's working out.
That's right.
And he gets his jacket stolen.
With the keys in it to his car.
So then his car starts up and...
hits him.
Right. The weird part is he's lying there, kind of bloody. He's hurt. He could easily get killed, and the guy doesn't kill him.
I know, that's so weird. So he ends up in the hospital, and then his girlfriend ends up getting all of her hair chopped off because she doesn't realize that the killer is, in there. And then Julie ends up getting... she's driving over to their house, and she ends up hearing a bunch of stuff in the back seat, and she opens up the trunk and finds Max in there with all these crabs, and he's dead, and she freaks out. And of course, when she goes to tell them what happened, they come back to the car, and everything is just gone. It just magically disappeared. So somebody had cleaned it up super fast. And I have some trivia on that later, which is kind of funny. So I have to say one of my favorite lines in the movie, because now they really think that it's Freddie Prinze Jr., which is, what's his name in it?
Ray.
So they're really thinking that this is Ray, because one of them's got their hair chopped off. One of them got hit by a car. One of them had a dead body in their back trunk there. One of my favorite lines from the movie ever is when they go to Ray's house and they're trying to accuse him of doing all this to them. And he's like, I didn't do anything. And he's like, they're like, yeah, we don't believe you. But I got a letter. And then Ryan Phillippe looks at him. He goes, oh, you got a letter? He goes, I got run over. Helen gets her hair chopped off. Julie gets a body in her trunk. And you got a letter. That's balanced. That was like my favorite thing in the movie. I just cracked up so much.
That's so funny that you say that, because that was the one line that I took away from the movie that I was like, that's balanced. Like, I was like, who wrote that line?
That's the best line ever. Yeah, I love that. That's my favorite thing. So after that, then, Helen, who's Ryan Phillippe's girlfriend there, she has to go to the ceremony, and she has to, get the little, give away the crown. And it looks like her and, what's Ryan Phillippe's name again? Barry? Is
Sure.
it Barry?
Oh, God.
Yeah, sure.
Call him Stan.
It's real. His name's Barry. It's Barry. So, it looks like he's being nice again, and they're getting back together, and he looks like he's being a decent guy again. He's protecting her on the float. He wants to make sure nothing happens to her. He looks like, again, like he's proud of his girlfriend. They're going to get back together. You can just kind of tell that they have something again. And he's in the stands looking at her give the crown away. By the way, which I want to say, which is the weirdest pageant I've ever seen, where they have girls that are 16 years old mixed with a girl who looks like she's in her late 40s. But anyway, so I just thought that was a weird mix-up there.
You talking about Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Yeah, it's like
She looks like she was in her late 40s?
No, not her. She's giving her the crown away. She has to give it away to the next runner-up. And they've got girls in there that look like they're 16, and there's this one girl in there that sings the dumbest song ever, and she looks like she's in her late 40s. And I just thought that was so weird, because it was such a big time gap as far as girls with different ages. I don't know. I thought it was just so weird. But anyway, so she's looking up, and she's looking at her boyfriend Barry, and then she sees the guy with the hook in the back, and she's screaming, look behind you and all that. But by then it's too late. And this is what me and Jay were talking about earlier, because she's trying to get to Barry to save him, and she runs off the stage, and all these people just stop her. She's like, somebody's up there, he's killing him, he's killing Barry, you're gonna get. And they just kind of look at her like she's crazy. Like, it's like they look at this woman like she's in the 1800s, like, oh, there's a crazy woman, she's having some sort of episode, lock her in the attic, hold her down so she doesn't hurt herself. It's like, she's trying to save somebody, just let her go. Why are you holding her down? Why don't you look to where she's looking? They don't even bother to look. And then the cop goes up there, and as Jay was saying, worst cop ever. I mean, he's like, there's nothing here, and there's blood dripping off banisters and everything. They don't see anything. Okay.
Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Look,
yeah. Nobody's here.
As soon as they walk away, they show blood actively dripping.
Yeah.
Off of the post.
Yeah,
which
is so annoying.
Had you just shined your flashlight.
No signs of tomfoolery here.
Yeah. I don't see anything going on here.
If I don't see it, I don't have to do paperwork tonight.
Yeah, exactly. So then what happens after the pageant is Helen runs, basically she ends up getting killed in her family store. I mean,
oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
And by the way, her sister is Bridget Wilson, or Bridget Wilson Sampras.
She was such a bitch.
Well, played a bitch in this thing. And I was thinking, like I said, she was kind of miscast, because she was like, I don't know. It just seemed like a waste of an actress. Like, that she was in Billy Madison. She was, in a couple of things. Not that she was like uber like, you know, in every like major film. I just thought like, we're gonna give her this annoying older sister that doesn't like anything about her younger sister or is jealous
she's
or whatever.
horrible. She's so jealous. Right. Yeah.
But here's the thing: regardless, you do love your family sometimes, even though they annoy you.
Yeah.
And her sister comes to the door, screaming at the top of her lungs in a pure panic. Let me in.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Here she comes with her drama again.
Hold on. I got to get the key.
Hold on. Let me go get the key. Right, walk over. I'll get you. It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, has she ever done this before? I don't care how weird she's been.
Yeah.
Has she ever come up to the door screaming at the top of her lungs in a pure panic?
That
maybe take her serious a little bit. You know, give it a shot.
I think she's crazy.
I'd rather find out that she was playing a joke.
Does she need $5 again?
Yeah. And then,
oh man.
And then it's her fault, the sister's fault, basically, to let the killer know who's close by. You could have just came through the other door that's unlocked. Right. And that's when the killer goes, oh, thank you. Let me just go to that door.
Or use the passcode 123.
Yeah,
right.
That's right there. So after that happened.
So then Sarah Michelle Gellar is running from him after she jumps out the back window because she goes upstairs on like a weird pulley system, ends up in the mannequin area, jumps out the window into some like weird trash area in the back. Like everybody's just like loose trash just on the ground in case you want to jump out the window. So she ends up there. She doesn't get
killed in the store. She gets killed running on the alley. That's right.
She runs down the alley and the parade is happening. But the weird part is they don't actually show her get killed. Like they show him sort of swinging stuff behind there's like these stacked tires.
Which sucks though, but how many movies have you seen like that where the person's running for their life and the killer is like 1 second behind them and they're close to people and they're literally right there and you're like, yay, I've got to safety, and these people literally 3 feet in front of you and then the killer kills you anyway and the people just keep, trotting on. They don't hear nothing. They don't see anything.
Well, there's two reasons, that they tried to make it so. There's two reasons they made it like that. And that's the parade, which has a lot of noise.
And fireworks.
Simultaneous fireworks during the parade.
Yeah.
Right? Now think about that. If they shot off fireworks during a parade, what would you be doing?
Looking up in the air.
And you wouldn't be looking at the band.
Right.
Walking down the street. Or the people in their cars. You're like, I know, but there's a beautiful little set of fireworks up there. So it's but they had to do that to make it sound like nobody could hear her scream. But it's like a little far-fetched at that point.
That's why I stopped going to New Year's celebrations, because I always felt like New Year's Eve would be the perfect time to get murdered. 3, 2, 1, and then everyone screams. And
right.
That's when I don't need to be at the event.
That's when all the stabbings happen.
The fear of New Year's parties for maybe getting killed because it's too loud.
Yeah, or a Halloween, like you're walking down the street covered in blood. Good costume, bud.
Yeah. So the next thing we're dealing with is Jennifer Love Hewitt goes to see Billy. Ray, saying that I know who it is. I know it's this guy who.
Well, why did he name his boat Billy Blue if his name was Ray?
I don't know. Maybe they said it.
No, they didn't say why he named his boat that.
Okay.
It makes sense if his eyes were blue and his name was Billy, but I don't get it.
I was trying to like stick up for Freddie Prinze Jr. He had a rough go. The director was trying to kill him. Okay. I felt bad. Yeah. So no, but like she's just about to trust Freddie Prinze for a second, and then notices that his boat says Billy Blue, and that he's been lying, that he did go and visit Anne Heche's character, earlier in the film, but told nobody. So she's like, oh my God, you're the one. You've been lying the whole time. And then she runs away and gets, he's chasing after her, and the killer punches him and knocks him out, but he's not dressed as the guy with as a slicker, like wearing a slicker.
Oh yeah.
So he goes, girl, get to the boat now. Tells her to get to the boat. Then when she's in the boat, she realizes it's like a almost
Shrine.
like a CSI. Like we get this and we get that and we get all these people and still photos of me and.
And then doesn't she see the slicker hanging up as well?
Yeah.
Oh, there's the slicker. Oh, look, there's the hook. I mean, I don't know if there was a hook. I'm just saying.
Possibly. And she's like, it's all wrapped up in a neat bow.
Yeah.
When he arrives and then he says, hey, and she goes, oh, it's you, Mr. Whatever. Like he goes, oh, I see you know who I am. Then he chases her into, and by the way,
but
she runs away.
Jay, I'm going to interrupt you because right there he does say something like, shouldn't she be out having a good time drinking, running people over, trying to cover up her? I don't know what he says, but it was some funny thing like that. Remember?
That's true. Yep.
Yeah.
And then
she'd be trying to get out drinking and getting away with murder.
She runs from him, gets downstairs. Now, by the way, he hadn't taken off yet. So why would you go downstairs?
Yeah, jump off the damn boat.
Thank you. You live in an ocean town. I'm going to assume you know how to swim.
Yeah. I don't know how to swim that good, but I can do the doggy paddle pretty well. I can get
exactly.
it.
And you're close to shore.
Boat.
You're close to a dock.
Yeah.
So instead she goes
and the
down.
water's well lit.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. It got a backlight.
I would have had no problem jumping off the boat.
Right. So anyways, so once
it's
she's
like
down
the girl
there,
running upstairs in horror movies. Instead, she ran downstairs on the boat.
Right. But she gets downstairs, and that's when he decides to take the boat out for a spin.
For a spin.
To get away from, to get away from the shore. And then Freddie Prinze wakes up and then jumps on a little dinghy, to go after her. But now, here's the thing. How many fucking compartments are in this boat? She has another room.
Boat too. Sorry.
No, but she goes into all these rooms. I'm going to go into another room. And in another room. And it's all these rooms with ice.
Yeah.
Which was not ice, by the way.
No, I didn't have that. I had a
ice.
trivia thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked like plastic, but it wasn't plastic.
And it sounded like it sounded like plastic. It didn't sound like ice. And by the way, I know you can't have an actress just lying there in ice.
No, she'd freeze.
Right. I got frostbite on this.
We can't forget about the ice shortage of 1997. Either,
right.
So.
Well,
it was all in Titanic.
Though, if this was the director from Friday the 13th, I think he would have had the girls swimming around in ice because look what he did to the girls in the icy water. He just left them in there forever. So I think if it was the Friday the 13th director, he would have been like, get in the freaking ice now. Stay in there.
Titanic hoarded all the ice.
I was going to say, or the Titanic. Get in the ice. You're going to get fired.
No, I'm saying that they hoarded it all.
Yeah.
That's why the shortage.
Yeah. Oh,
they
yeah. But no,
the
because the director was horrible for that too. He made them stay in the lifeboats forever.
That was all the ice.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, he chases them. He chases after the boat, gets onto the boat, and then starts fighting with the guy. And she's finding all her dead friends downstairs. Good luck. The rest of your life, you see all your dead friends in ice, packed in ice with these awful frozen open mouthed expressions
God.
No,
it's going to be in your mind for the rest of your life.
Yeah, no Zoom therapy is going to help that situation.
They use that in an ad. Have you found all your friends dead in an ice chest downstairs underneath a boat? Well, if you have, please call this number.
Go to betterhelp.com.
No, so Freddie Prinze ends up fighting with the guy. She ends up he's about to raise a hook to kill Jennifer Love Hewitt, and Freddie Prinze ends up wrapping a rope around the hook hand and pulls a lever, and then the guy goes flying, gets his hand severed, and gets hung upside down, and you see him sort of dead, I guess, and then the ending. A year later, because they end up sort of back together. A year later, you see her back at college, and she's smiling again. Like she's like, oh, all flirty, like, about to take a shower. And then, you see written in the steam on the mirror or whatever, or the glass door, says, "I still know." And then a guy in a slicker breaks out, and the credits roll, so you don't see if she dies. Obviously, part 2 happens. We all know from hindsight that she does not die because she's in part 2. They leave him wondering, and who that is.
But I mean, to be that guy, don't you feel like that would be so exhausting that you got to break in, you got to time it right to write "I still know what you did," and then it's just like the work behind this is ridiculous.
Right.
It's time for TMI with Melanie.
Listen to this. I am in the bathroom right before the movie starts. And I'm in the stall, and there's no toilet paper.
And mine are at home in a display case above my bed.
TMI, my friends.
It's just
TMI?
Too much information.
Say don't go there, but that's lame.
Now, here's Melanie with your timeless movie info.
All right, Melanie, show us what you know. Last summer and this summer.
All right, so this one has some good stuff. So the budget was $17 million. It grossed $125.3 million. Kevin Williamson, as we talked about, wrote the script. He wrote this before Scream in '96, but he was unable to sell it. Following the big screen success of his next screenplay, Scream, Columbia Pictures immediately bought I Know What You Did Last Summer in '97. This is the reason many critics think that fans felt that it was a huge step down from the more clever Scream movies. And this is funny. Melissa Joan Hart turned down the role of Julie because when they asked her why, she said, "I just thought it was another ripoff of Scream." Actually, if anything, Scream is a ripoff of I Know What You Did Last Summer, not the other way around, because that one came out first, actually. So Reese Witherspoon auditioned and changed her mind, and she withdrew. But she did, however, recommend her then-boyfriend Ryan Phillippe for the role of Barry. The set relocated from North Carolina to California for the scene where the 4 teenagers run over the man. The producer, Eric Feig, I think I'm saying that right, said that the North Carolina was the flattest state and they needed more curvy and dangerous looking roads. It was actually the same mountainous road location that was used in Alfred Hitchcock's classic The Birds in 1963. The group goes to Dawson's Beach, which is a reference to Dawson's Creek in '96, also written by Kevin Williamson. Kevin Williamson's own father had been a fisherman in real life and wore a slicker similar to that of the killer, and that's what inspired the killer's outfit for the film. The film was shot in 50 days. Jennifer Love Hewitt strongly disliked horror movies at this time. She also suggested Johnny Galecki. Am I saying that right? Galecki? Galecki. For the part of Max, Johnny Galecki used to know Jennifer Love Hewitt. They lived in the same apartment building when he was doing National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation in '89. He said he was about 13 or 14 and she was friends with my little sister. He said that he recalled doing a body cast for that. Remember that scene where he was in the trunk with the crabs? Where apparently they did a whole body cast for that with special effects. And Jennifer Love Hewitt went to the set and actually ended up seeing that body cast. And apparently they had to close down the whole production because she was so upset by seeing that. She wanted confirmation that he was very much alive because it looked too good. It was just too realistic for her.
And she wanted to also make sure he didn't have crabs.
Exactly. So, and this is what we talked about. The ice inside the storage of the boat was actually made of gelatin so that Jennifer Love Hewitt could comfortably move around inside. Apparently, if you watch it really good, you can see it jiggle. I watched it really good. I could not see it jiggle. Sarah Michelle Gellar co-starred in this film with her now husband, Freddie Prinze Jr. They met when they were filming this. Now, I remember hearing this from somewhere else, and I just put it in. I remember reading a story about their first date. They went to a seafood restaurant, and apparently like a little crab crawled across their table, and she just took it and crushed it with her bare hands. And then she pops it in her mouth, and she said, it's like popcorn. And like immediately he was like, that's the girl for me. So I just had to put that in there because I just thought that was funny. And they're such a cute couple. Yeah, I follow them, and I think they're the cutest couple ever. And she has a new show out called The Wolf Pack. I think that's what it's called, which I haven't started watching yet, but I will, and I'm so glad she's back. Anyway, let's see. Also,
She
in
had
order to get the role,
a cameo and She's All That.
oh yeah, I love her. I used to watch Buffy. Also, in order to get the role of Freddie Prinze, oh, and all of the Scooby-Doo movies too. In order to get the role of Freddie Prinze Jr., who he was also in Scooby-Doo with her, he had to change his diet and start working out. Anne Heche was cast as Missy, which she recalled as being only 2 days worth of work for her that required her to be scary. And she felt like she could relate to her character in real life, and this is sad, I never knew this, because her brother had committed suicide like she thought her brother in the film had committed suicide. Wow. So I was, when we were talking about her earlier and tragic and her death and everything that's happened, I'm kind of wondering if that's why she might have had a problem with drugs and alcohol. It's just from that tragic thing that happened in real life with her family and her brother, which was really sad. So I didn't know that until I read that. The film is included on Roger Ebert's most hated list. He hates it. One scene that shows Julie at her breaking point after Max's body disappears from the trunk. Oh, this is cute. She screams in the middle of the street. Do you guys remember that? And she was like, "What are you waiting for?" And she puts her hands up in the air. Yeah. That scene was actually directed by a kid who won a contest to come on to create a moment for the movie. Jennifer said she absolutely hated that line at first and the whole thing. She thought it was kind of stupid. After she did it, she realized that it became one of the biggest parts in the movie, and she realized that it was such a great idea. But it was an idea of a little kid who won a contest.
Nice.
Yeah. The scene where Helen, Sarah Michelle Gellar, escapes from the cop car. Oh. He did?
Yeah, no. He's saying that like the little kid comes on.
No. The kid.
Yeah.
That's funny. Everyone hates Freddie Prinze Jr. I like him, but okay.
It's like a rite of passage. Listen,
yeah.
You can't get you. I know you won the contest, but what do you think of this guy? They hold up a headshot. Oh, that guy sucked. Okay, good. You're right. You got the job.
That sucks.
You're in.
Okay, so the scene where Helen, Sarah Michelle Gellar, escapes from the cop car in this movie mirrors almost the same exact scene in Scream 2 in '97 with Sydney and Haley. Also, Sarah Michelle Gellar plays a sorority girl, Cece, in Scream 2. In this film, Sarah Michelle Gellar falls from a building of a second-story window. While Helen does not die from her falls here, Gellar has played several other characters in the horror movies who have ultimately been killed off by falling or being pushed or thrown off of a building. Scream 2 in '97, The Grudge in 2006, The Grudge 2, 2006, and even Buffy's death in season 5 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and The Gift of 2001 all involve her jumping to her death. Isn't that weird? I never noticed that before. Sarah Michelle Gellar and Ryan Phillippe worked together later on Cruel Intentions, where Ryan gets killed by getting hit by a car. Let's see. Apparently, this is so extremely different from the original novel, and the original writer of the novel was not happy about this movie at all. And the scene where the fisherman disguises himself as a mannequin and jumps out at Helen. After the shot was filmed, Sarah Michelle Gellar and Muse Watson would look at each other and start laughing their tails off because it took a while to them to film it because they couldn't stop laughing because they knew it was going to be scary for everybody. So they just kept laughing while they were trying to do that shot where he jumps out at her from the store when he's in the slicker when they are the mannequins. And then I did put this in here, but I'll say I wasn't almost going to say it because it's kind of long, but Muse Watson is the killer. His favorite scene was when the killer gets run over by the car. He said he was laying in a ditch beside the road. "I'm not a warm-blooded person. I tend to be very cold. To be dead, you have to be very still, but the concrete was freezing and the air was so cold that when I laid down, I was like, I'm never going to pull this off because he couldn't stop shaking." So he remembered to himself that he read an article that said when the body shivers, it's physically warming itself up and it shakes to the point where you warm your body up. So he thought to himself, well, I'm just going to force the issue. So he said he laid there in a ditch and he said that he just started shaking himself like all over the place. And somebody ran over to him and said, "Hey, are you all right? Do you need a medic?" And he was like, "No, buddy, I'm just preparing for the shot." So when he finally went to go do the take, his shaking completely stopped. And he said it worked so that he was able to lay still. And the reason why he said they picked him was because they wanted somebody that could be really scary on film, but was like a really super nice person off of film to not scare the cast, because Jennifer Love Hewitt did not like horror movies at the time, and Sarah Michelle Gellar was young, so he wanted them to be like super sweet in person but be scary on film. And they loved him so much that they got really close to him and was calling him basically like an uncle while they were filming. And that's it.
It's time now for Final Judgment. Are you ready to rubber stamp this bitch? Here's the Final Judgment.
All right. It's time for Final Judgment, which is no longer about opinion, but fact on how well this movie holds up. Let's take the newbie and ask him what he thinks and how well this movie holds up today. Josh.
Well, I will let you know how it holds up as long as my technology holds up while I'm talking. I think it definitely does hold up because I feel like Netflix uses this like template, this story template now, even to this day. Like, obviously characters and situations are changed, but I think that I mean, it definitely does hold up. You know what it is? It's balanced.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Nice. That works.
All right, so I'll go next. I'm going to say...
But yeah, I definitely think it holds up.
Okay, good. I'm glad you liked it because this is one of your first horror movies, and I'm telling you, we're going to have some scarier ones later on for you.
I'll do whatever movie you throw at me.
Okay, cool. So I feel like it definitely holds up. I mean, they've made a bunch of them, and they tried to do a series recently, which I don't know why everybody hated the series. I liked it. I was glad it finished season 1 so that I could get through it. But to me, this is like what you call a classic horror movie in my eyes because it paved the way for so many other movies. I really like this movie a lot. I think the actors did a really good job in it, and it's just, a classic urban legend type of classic horror movie, and I really liked it a lot. So I think I do think it holds up, though. I think if somebody watched it today, I think they'd like it. I don't see how they wouldn't if they like this kind of movie. So
I agree. I think it holds up. I think it's very 90s, but all the kids are about retro right now. So I think it'll work for the fact that it does really capture the essence of the 90s. It really feels like it. Like they're playing Offspring while riding down the street at one point, I think. No disrespect to Offspring, but there was a 90s band. So you can hear a lot of things like that. It felt like that. And, it wasn't like everybody had a cell phone. They weren't pulling out cell phones. So, stuff like that wasn't, making it feel modern at all. But this, the tension, the comedy mix, which Kevin Williamson seems to do anyway, because I think people can enjoy it and not feel like it's like a full-on horror.
Right.
So I think it's for a lot broader of an audience than just the horror fan. So I think so.
Yeah, it's more like suspenseful, don't you think? Like a suspense thriller. Yeah.
But the fact that you do have an unknown face, like walking around, like wielding some sort of weapon that's going to maybe kill somebody. And some dead bodies. I did forget about that. Right. The dead bodies. Yeah. So it's not for everybody, but definitely it's a little more broad. So I think we all agree. Well, that was our show. I'd like to thank Josh Dolan for joining us. Josh, tell people how they can check you out.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. I'm sorry again for the technical difficulties, and if you're watching this, hopefully, Jay picks one of my good mug shots for wherever my square is. And people can find me on Breaking the Ice podcast. We're building a new website, so I won't give out the website right now. We got some pretty big guests coming up. Screw it. I'll say their names. We got Tuukka Rask, Zdeno Chara.
Wow.
It's getting into the hockey playoffs, so we got a lot of hockey players coming up, and we're doing another live one at the DCU Center in Worcester, if you're in the Worcester area. And also, I am now on Iconic Rock 96.5 The Bill, which is in Manchester. You can get that in Maine all the way down here in Massachusetts. And yeah, if you're in the mood to hear Back in Black or one of those other songs that fit that genre, tune in.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
I'll be the one that sounds like he doesn't know what he's talking about. So.
No. Thank you so much for coming on here.
And we did it. We made through all the wacky stuff. Well, all right. Well, I'd like to thank Steve Lavoie for our vocal imaging and Draco and the Malfoys for our theme music. And please help us grow by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and be sure to hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we release a new episode, and be sure to tell your friends about us. I am Jay Fortier, and for the absent Chris Martineau and other co-host Melanie Howerton, I'd like to thank you again for joining us here on the Film Crickets. Until next time, movies may not age like fine wine, but we drink it anyway. Bye.
Chirping about